top decks from the KCGT. We're going to look at a breakdown of all the decks that topped this event, as well as go over some of the deck lists that did really well in the tournament. We have some really cool ones to look at, like a Dark Magician deck and a Burning Abyss deck that'll be just fine post-ban list here. Huge shout out to Duel Data Core for compiling all of this data, getting all the deck lists put together, sources where you can get them from, and also to Duel Links Meta, who put all the deck lists in a easy to view format. So jumping straight in though, we're going to look at a breakdown of the top 100 here. As you can see, DDD and Burning Abyss absolutely dominated this event, each of them with about 35% of the top decks in top cut, 42 DDDs, 41 Burning Abyss out of the 119 decks currently reported in the top 128. Yeah, these two decks were absolutely dominant. The two of them took up 70% of the metagame combined. Everything else with total was just 30%, less than the two of them. Speaking of the rest of the decks that did well though, metalfoes getting 7 spots in the top 128. We'll go ahead and zoom on this so you guys can see these numbers a little closely right now. Nekroz, Gandora, and Odd Eyes each getting 6 decks in the top cut here as well. Yosenju getting 4 in the top cut. And you'll see they actually got one in the top 10 as well. We also had a Galaxy and Lunalights getting 2 decks in the top cut each, and Abyss Actor, Dark Magician, and Cleefort each getting 1 deck into the top 128. So really cool to see some of those decks having success. Again, Dark Magician's not one of those decks you usually think about as being a meta deck now, but someone managing to have success with it. Good to see. We look at the top 10 breakdown here. Again, some players use multiple decks, that's why there's going to be more than 10 decks listed here, but we have 6 Burning Abyss, 4 DDD, and 1 Metalfoe, 1 Odd Eyes, and 1 Yosenju deck in the top 10 breakdown. And we'll go ahead and jump into the deck list right now. Alright, and the first place deck was, of course, Burning Abyss. Burning Abyss did probably better than any other deck in the tournament, not just taking the top spot, but being right there with DDDs in terms of representation in the tournament, in the top 128, and taking more spots than anyone in the top 10. About 75% of the Burning Abyss decks were running Chaos Dragon Levianeer. Some of them were only running 1 or 2 copies, a lot of them were running 3 like this one was, but Levianeer was definitely the go-to way to play this deck. Of course, you have some light options in your extra deck with Dante and Beatrice, but also running the White Princess in the main deck. We saw a lot of the Burning Abyss decks do that this weekend as well, giving you that light targets in the graveyard for the Levianeer Dragon. Skill Prisoner was another huge card. We saw a lot of Burning Abyss decks run this card, many of them in multiples. Most of them were running 2 or 3 copies of it, and as you'll see, some non-Burning Abyss decks were even running Skill Prisoner as well. Card is extremely powerful, this format, being able to negate a ton of effects and being able to reuse it after sending it to your graveyard multiple times in a duel and negate multiple effects. It's just extremely powerful, so no surprise that this deck got hit on the ban list the way that it did. I think it's probably a good idea taking away the Levianeer from this deck though, making it play a little bit more pure Burning Abyss, and taking away that Skill Prisoner from them, because that card is absolutely devastating sometimes. Second place deck, we have DDD here. Of course, this deck also took a major hit on the ban list. We see this particular deck actually going to get by the skill restriction that's now been implemented. They have more than 5 DDD Pendulum monsters in deck, but going to lose a couple copies of the Savant Thomas. A lot of decks are running this card at 2 or 3, so only able to run 1 now, plus losing 1 copy of the Kepler and access to the limit 2s like Econ. Enemy Controller was so popular in this event. A ton of people are running it. Yeah, it's everywhere. It's in a ton of decks you're going to see. Also, this player was also running a Gandora deck, and we see the Infinitrack engine being really popular here. A lot of the Gandora decks that did top, or a number of them, the few that did, were running some kind of extra Infinitrack monsters than what we've seen. You know, usually we see the one that normal or special summons the ones out of your hand, but these other Infinitrack ones are designed to manipulate your levels and give you more options to get into Beatrice as a rank 6 option. That way you can send various things from your deck to graveyard to get effects, either like your Kite Roy to stop attacks, or you can send away what's that monster, like the Tackle Crusader, like the rock monster that flips things face down. So a lot of different things you can run with that, but nonetheless, so you have a lot of different options with these Infinitrack monsters. They give you more XYZ options and stuff, so cool to see Gandora decks continuing to evolve as the metagame changes. In third place, we had another Burning Abyss deck here. Nothing too special about this one. Again, Levianeer was the go-to choice for this event. In fourth place, we had another DDD deck. Again, nothing too special. Losing access to those rank 2s is big because, again, Econ is everywhere. And again, 3 copies of Thomas in this one. We're going to have to lose 2 of those with the new list. Yosenju managing to take a top 5 spot here. This is one of, I think, the surprise decks of the event. Didn't really expect to see Yosenju doing this well, but there's always some odd deck like Yosenju or Lunalights or something that, or Ritual Beast or something that manages to get through, get a top 10 spot that you just don't expect to get. And in this event, it was Yosenju, but yeah, really cool to see them doing well and actually managing to come through despite the power creep that the metagame had been with DDD and BA being so powerful during this event. Next up, we have a Odd Eyes deck. Odd Eyes was kind of one that had fallen off a little bit recently. It had been right up there with DDD, but as Burning Abyss got new support, Odd Eyes had kind of fallen out of favor of in favor of BA and DDD being the next next. But we see a new addition here recently in Odd Eyes that I hadn't seen a lot, with the Radish Horse being used in a deck. This card's going to let you special summon itself to the board, which can potentially help you go into XYZ options, but also it's going to allow you to manipulate attack points more importantly, so that you can potentially go for OTK, swing over monsters. It gives you just a number of different options that you can go with in it. So really cool to see them also trying to find ways to adapt. Next up, in 7th place, we had another DDD player. This player had a couple different versions of the deck he was running. Again, pretty standard, nothing too out of the ordinary here. But here we do have something out of the ordinary. We have a metalfoes deck that managed to also get a spot in the top 10 as well. Good to see metalfoes still having some success. It didn't do as good as it had done in the past KC Cup. Players are more ready for it. Metagame had gotten stronger, but still did alright, good enough to get spots into that top 10 though. And then in 9th place, we have another Burning Abyss deck. This one not running the Levineer, but still running 2 copies of the Skill Prisoner. So again, changes are going to be need to be made with the new ban list that just was revealed. Also, choosing to run a main copy, a main deck copy of Lightning Vortex here. Another interesting deck check choice here. And then in 10th place, we have another Burning Abyss player. Again, Levineer in the deck, multiple copies of Skill Prisoner. Gonna need to see big changes for this deck going forward. In 12th place, we had an Abyss Actor deck as well as a Nekroz deck. Abyss Actor had kind of fallen off a little bit lately, but still can do okay, as we can see, running 3 copies of the main deck, Amano, Iwado, and Smile World. Of course, that's going to let you keep the Amano on the board. Your opponent won't be able to activate any monster effects, and sometimes that alone will just win you duels, especially against certain things like Burning Abyss. That'll just like close out your opponent, and they won't be able to play the game. So we can really nasty list to run into for sure. Also, Nekroz has been doing really well lately. It has a really good matchup against Burning Abyss. Being able to banish something from their field, hand, and board can be absolutely devastating against that deck. Also, being able to search out the Valkyries to be able to prevent your opponent from being able to OTK you can be huge. We also have White Princess in here. We see where White Princess has really just become the hand trap of choice, right, in a lot of these decks, where it's just sort of the go-to hand trap over Sphere Creep, over other things now, just really becoming that go-to card. We also see a Qliphort deck here in 18th place. Again, 1 main deck copy of Amano Iwado, 3 White Princess in the main deck, and Enemy Controller. Just these cards are just so powerful in this format with things having sped up the way they are. Beyond that, you have your pretty standard, I'd say Qliphort in here. But also, this player was running a Burning Abyss deck as well. 3 main deck copies of Magical Spring, so if you're running into a lot of Pendulum decks like DDs and stuff like that, Magical Spring is a very powerful card. Especially in Burning Abyss, we have so many graveyard effects. Absolutely devastating to get that off against your opponent. 24th place, we have another Gandora deck. This one's only running 23 cards in the main deck, not running a full a 30 card build like we usually see. Again, infinite track monsters in here beyond the anchor that we usually see. Not the full engine as the other ones, but still including those cards in here, giving you those extra options in the extra deck. We also have another Burning Abyss deck here, although this one's actually PK Fire. Probably one of the sad things about the ban, probably the most sad thing I am about the ban list, is that I can no longer play PK Fire. Can't mix the Phantom Knights with Farfa anymore, unless you completely cut Farfa out of the deck, which really sucks. So I guess you could go that route. Maybe we'll go that route. Probably we'll have to go that route with the deck now. Instead run like Phantom Strategy with it instead of Mind of the Plana. So if you're still wanting to run PK Fire, which I'm still going to probably try to do, you have to try out different skills this time, because what we were doing before isn't going to work now, I don't think. Now we have a Lunalight deck. Here's that Lunalight. So of course, they always get at least 1 spot here in the top cut. Again, White Princess is the go-to hand trap now. Only 1 Sphere Creepo, no other hand traps in the deck besides the White Princess. Also running a main deck copy of Magical Spring. Again, very powerful against Pendulum decks, against anything that's running a bunch of face-up back row cards. Able to draw on your cards, get your graveyard effects off with this deck. Pretty cool addition. Next up, we have a Galaxy deck. Galaxies did okay in this event as well, getting a couple spots in the top cut. This one's running 25 cards in the deck. Pretty big main deck build, running a bunch of different things, let you special summon stuff out of the deck. Yeah, really interesting here. Also, this might be the first deck we've seen that's running Treacherous Trap Hole instead of Enemy Controller. I don't know if we've seen another one that was doing that, because yeah, the majority of these decks are choosing to run Econ, as that's just sort of been the go-to card, but TTH still seeing some use. And here in 32nd place, we finally get to the Dark Magician deck. Again, I think I just put out the video, I think, on the Spellbook Dark Magician deck. This one's very similar, although cutting away from the Spellbook engine, only running 1 Secrets, no Fate, and 2 Blue Boy, in favor of some extra back row cards, a couple Book of Moons, a couple of enemy controllers in here. I also like the fact that we have the 3 Apprentice Magician, easier access to the rank 6 cards, able to go into the Exabeetle. He's also running the Galaxy Eyes engine in his extra deck. He doesn't have a way to go into rank 8, so I don't know if that's just so he can econ his opponent's Galaxy Eyes cards in XYZ summon, or if you're able to use Exabeetles, possibly. I think it has to be a monster. I don't think you can use equip cards to special summon full armor Photon Dragon, so I think it's just so he can econ his steel, but I don't know, someone tell me if I'm wrong about that. Beyond that, we also have another Galaxy Eyes deck here, choosing the main deck a copy of the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. Really interesting, deciding to go with that, but it makes sense. Burning Abyss, DDD, I mean, a lot of different decks you can hit with this format with that card. In 42nd place, we have a TG deck. TGs can do fairly well. They have some good matchups in the metagame. I know they absolutely destroy Gandora and a couple other decks, so TGs still do okay. They, choosing to run the more consistent version here with the flight control, so you can, very consistently get to your combos. Of course, it can be very easy to stop this deck with just a simple Book of Moon or just to shut down their plays. So TG, though, still a good deck. Still good to see them having some success. Next up, we have another DDD deck here as well. Again, pretty standard here, nothing out of the ordinary. Main decked White Princess, pretty good in the mirror match. Next up, we have a Burning Abyss deck, and this one's still good post-ban list. This is a list that is not running Levineer, it is not running Seal Prisoner, it is a smaller 22 card list that was running Offering to the Doomed. Very interesting choice. Not sure why I run that card over other picks, but hey, it worked. It had success, and yeah, I mean, not much else to say about it. But if you're looking for a way to play Burning Abyss post ban list, maybe this is the way to go. We'll have to see going forward what BA does. Speaking of post ban list Burning Abyss, only 1 copy of Skill Prisoner in this deck would be pretty easy just to cut out the Skill Prisoner, put in something else, and boom, this deck would also be good to go post ban list. No Levineer in here either. And yeah, I think Burning Abyss is going to be really strong still after the ban list, even without Levineer and Skill Prisoner. I think this deck will be just fine. And then we have a Buster Blader deck here at 113th place, just making it a top 128 here. Choosing to run 3 main deck copies of Drowning Mirror Force. Oh, that can be so devastating. Running up against this deck, they have so many back row cards they play. It can be difficult to just take them all out, to blow them all up for some decks to do. And you're just going to run into those drowning sometimes. That can be absolutely devastating. But nonetheless, though, Buster Blader still has some good matchups, and still has some really good matchups in the metagame. They still have their little trick where they can lock down your board and not let you play by negating all your monster effects. Turn them all into dragons and then negate them all. That can absolutely devastate decks that aren't running a ton of back row cards, and as we saw in this event, there's a lot of decks that were not running a ton of back row here, choosing to run hand traps and other things like that. So this deck can be really devastating, and if you get the right hands with it and able to get to that baby dragon. So nonetheless, so Buster Blader doing really well. Congratulations to this player who used this deck, as well as all the other players in the tournament for getting in the top 128. You guys are, well, congratulations. Anyways, thank you guys all so much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful rest of the day.